If you're a true Liverpool fan, subscribe to Anfield Signal. Wayne Rooney sends fresh message to Virgil van Dijk after feud with Liverpool star. Wayne Rooney has aimed a fresh dig at Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk. Wayne Rooney has again defended his criticism of Virgil van Dijk and says the defender's form has contributed to Liverpool's struggles this season. Earlier this season, Van Dijk challenged the Manchester United legend-turned-pundit's comments about his displays for the Reds. In November, the pair were involved in a tense exchange on Prime Video following Liverpool's Champions League win over Real Madrid. Van Dijk called the criticism of him over the top, while Rooney stood his ground. More recently, United defender Lisandro Martinez has responded to criticism from Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt. Van Dijk has since told another pundit, Gary Neville, on Sky Sports that ex-top players have a responsibility to the new generation and that they should be mindful of young players' mental health in the age of social media. When that was relayed to Rooney during his appearance on the No Tippy Tappy Football podcast with Sam Allardyce, he replied, "I've been pulled up a few times because I like to speak about what I see. If a player is doing well or not doing well, you give your opinion, that's the job. I think Virgil and other top players need to remember that we were once players too. This is not something new. It happens and I'm sure he'll realize that when he stops playing." Rooney then brought up his own treatment at the hands of pundits and the media, insisting he'd had it tougher than the Dutchman. He said, "Virgil van Dijk will know himself if he's had a good game or a bad game. No one's having personal attacks on players, it's an opinion, what you see. I've been through that probably a lot more than Virgil van Dijk has been through it. That's part of football. Players now get the benefit of all the commercial things they do and they earn a lot of money from doing that. They need to understand that pundits have opinions. Sometimes, pundits can go over the top. But as a player, you're judged on performances." He then took a fresh shot at Van Dijk's form this season. After praising his performance in the defeat to Manchester City, he added, "But for many games this season, he hasn't been at his level. Whether that's because he's getting a little bit older, he's played a lot of games. He's been one of the best centre-backs in the world in recent seasons, but he hasn't had the best of seasons, which is shown by Liverpool's position in the table. Liverpool's title defence has been hugely disappointing, especially after spending almost £500 million on new players in the summer. Arne Slot's side are 6th in the table and are in danger of missing out on Champions League football. Liverpool must not allow unthinkable to happen as Alexander Isak injury reality bites. One of the things that jumped out at Liverpool when they were pursuing Hugo Ekitike was just how high his ceiling was, despite being in possession of an all-round game that had already led them to the brink of a £79 million deal with Eintracht Frankfurt. In their view, the then France under-21 international was good enough to become known, in time, as one of the world's finest frontmen. With 15 goals in his debut campaign at Anfield at the age of just 23, it's easy to see why those assessing that potential came to such a conclusion. Ekitike has been a breath of fresh air in a troublesome season for Liverpool, and he is almost certain to finish as the club's first leading goalscorer not named Mohamed Salah since 2017, when Philippe Coutinho's relatively modest haul of 14 topped the charts. Now a fully fledged France international, Ekitike insisted recently, in a post-match chat with a handful of reporters that included the Echo, that he had not set a target for himself. But after notching 2 against Newcastle United to move to 15 across all competitions, the next milestone of 20 would be a significant one for someone still adjusting to different surroundings and a new-look team experiencing a difficult transition. Ekitike was supposed to have been aided and abetted by £125 million Alexander Isak after his stunning and admittedly acrimonious British record move from Newcastle United was belatedly secured on September 1. Instead, the former Paris Saint-Germain starlet has had to shoulder much of the goal-scoring burden himself, with Isak struggling for fitness and then succumbing to injury. Throw in an ordinary campaign for out-of-sorts Cody Gakpo and a Mohamed Salah, who has quite often looked so bereft of his own otherworldly talents, and the pressure on Ekitike has perhaps reached unfair levels at times. That being said, the likable Frenchman has taken up the mantle, producing moments of genuine quality that hint at a prosperous future at Anfield. Those on the inside now see the next step of Ekitike's development to be able to piece together these sorts of performances across 90 minutes of Premier League intensity. Arne Slot has spoken at times about the need for him to do that, and it has been noticeable how some decision-making has been poor late on in games, as well as the execution of some passing and shooting as a result of fatigue and tiredness setting in. It's nothing out of the ordinary for a player still relatively new to life in the top flight of English football, but the leg break to Isak, suffered when scoring in the 2-1 win over Tottenham Hotspur in December, means Dijk has been asked to play longer than he would have had the Sweden international been more readily available. It was noticeable in the early weeks of the season how often they traded places in games. It's a delicate balancing act for Slot, who must be mindful of not stretching the only senior number 9 he has available to him to breaking point at a time when Isak's recovery process goes on. Dijk has already been forced to undergo an MRI scan over a suspected hamstring injury last month, and while that was avoided, losing him for any period of time is an unthinkable prospect, given the paucity of forward options and the enormity of Champions League qualification. Looking at Isak's injury and recovery, for me injuries have gone full circle versus when I was playing, Michael Owen tells The Echo. If he would have picked up that injury 20 to 30 years ago, it would have been a lot worse than right now. If I would have had my career again and someone said tear your hamstring or break your leg and you're going to be out for the same amount of time, I would have taken the broken leg. You can absolutely come back from fractures or ligament injuries. The worst ones are a rupture of your hamstring that leaves a scar and deprives you of speed in later years. So, yes, with today's medicine and recovery plans, absolutely he can be as good as he left off. He won't be better, and you tell yourself I'm going to come back fitter and better than before, but just to get back to the same level he was, this is a result. These injuries aren't good for the body and hard to come back from, but let's hope he comes back to the level he was at. Isak's return is still unknown, and Slot said it was still some way away when asked at a recent press conference. The former Newcastle man may still be able to play a meaningful part in this season, but longtime fans will recognize similarities between the current number 9 situation and that of 2004 club record capture, Djibril Cissé, who broke his leg just a few months into his Anfield career before returning later that season as a bit-part player from the bench for Rafa Benitez. Liverpool went on to win the Champions League that season, with Cissé scoring in the penalty shootout final win over AC Milan, but before Isak can envision doing likewise, the recovery process simply continues. It will surely be accepted behind the scenes that the club won't see the best of their ludicrously expensive striker until next season, when he has felt the benefit of a full and uninterrupted pre-season program. Owen adds, Isak can 100% be a success at Liverpool. He is total class. He's shown in the Premier League already what he can do, there is no question about his ability at all. It will take time to get back to full fitness, then his minutes will be managed to cause a recurrence of this injury. Florian Wirtz shines as Liverpool edged Sunderland in crucial 1-0 victory. Liverpool's 1-0 win over Sunderland carried enormous pressure, with the Reds knowing anything less than 3 points would have damaged their push towards the European places. While the defensive partnership rightly earned praise, much of the creative spark came from Florian Wirtz, whose performance added control, imagination and belief in a tense contest at the Stadium of Light. Speaking to Dave Davis for Anfield Index, David Lynch highlighted just how influential the German playmaker was across the 90 minutes, describing a display that blended composure with growing authority in English football. In matches where space is limited and opponents focus on disruption, players who can operate between lines become priceless. Wirtz consistently found pockets of space, helping Liverpool progress the ball when the game threatened to become chaotic. He was magic. That simple assessment captured the feeling inside the ground as Wirtz dictated tempo with clever touches and intelligent movement. His decision-making slowed the game when needed and accelerated attacks when opportunities appeared. I thought he was brilliant. I saw a Sunderland fan tweet that he is the best player they have seen at the Stadium of Light this season, which is some praise. For an away player to earn that level of admiration speaks volumes about the quality on display. Wirtz looked comfortable under pressure, never rushing possession and always scanning for the next option. Liverpool have often relied on intensity and directness, yet Wirtz offers something slightly different, a calmness that allows others to breathe. The touch was always there, the weight of his passing, everything. I thought he was brilliant. Those details may seem subtle, but they shape how Liverpool control matches, particularly against sides determined to break rhythm. His awareness in tight spaces allowed teammates to push higher up the pitch, easing some of the burden on the midfield. Rather than forcing risky passes, Wirtz chose moments carefully, creating a steady flow that prevented Sunderland from fully settling into their defensive structure. As Liverpool continue to chase down Chelsea in 5th place, performances like this suggest a player growing increasingly comfortable with the demands of the Premier League. What stood out most was how Wirtz adapted his approach as the match progressed. Early on, he focused on linking play. Later he began to take greater risks around the box, sensing that Sunderland were beginning to tire. He's going from strength to strength now and knows exactly what is needed in this league. That understanding was visible in his positioning, drifting wide when necessary and arriving centrally when Liverpool pushed forward in numbers. He's getting his shots away quicker and almost scored on a few occasions. Those attempts added another dimension to Liverpool's attack, forcing Sunderland's defenders to step out and opening space for runners beyond him. Even without scoring, his willingness to shoot created a sense of unpredictability that Liverpool have sometimes lacked this season. Liverpool remains sixth in the table, now just 2 points behind Chelsea, and performances like Wirtz's hint at a player who could shape the run-in. He's going to be massive for Liverpool and he's getting better every week. It is a strong statement, yet one that feels justified given the confidence he showed in a high-pressure environment. The victory itself may be remembered for Van Dijk's decisive goal and the resilience of the backline, but Wirtz's influence threaded through every attacking phase. He provided balance, creativity, and a level of maturity that belied the intensity of the occasion. If Liverpool are to maintain their momentum, they will need more evenings where technical quality meets tactical intelligence. Against Sunderland, Wirtz delivered both, offering a glimpse of how vital he could become as the season enters its defining weeks. Arne Slot pleads with Liverpool stars to make it more simple for ourselves. Arne Slot has challenged Liverpool to be more ruthless and score more goals after Virgil van Dijk's strike secured a 1-0 win at Sunderland to reignite their Champions League qualification push. Arne Slot has urged his Liverpool side to show ruthlessness in front of the goal despite witnessing them breathe new life into their pursuit of Champions League football. Virgil van Dijk netted the decisive goal just past the hour mark as the Reds claimed a well-earned 1-0 Premier League victory at Sunderland on Wednesday evening. The triumph pulled Liverpool to within 3 points of the top four and just 2 points adrift of fifth place following Manchester United and Chelsea's draws the night before. While Slot was pleased with how his side bounced back from Sunday's heartbreaking 2-1 home defeat to Manchester City, he is demanding the Reds begin converting their superiority into more goals. "We've had so many setbacks and disappointments where we didn't get what we deserved, but the players showed up again 3 days later and performed," said the Liverpool manager. "I saw a very good performance from my team throughout the 90 minutes. We have shown that response so many times this season. Now it's about the consistency and results. It's not a coincidence when we win our games because we are usually the better team on the pitch. It's more surprising to see we didn't have more wins. But today you could also see why. If you create so many chances and have 3v2 situations, it should and will lead to us scoring much more goals. If we want to make it more simple for ourselves, it would be nice if we could score more goals." Both Hugo Ekitike and Mohamed Salah spurned promising chances in the second half, whilst star performer Florian Wirtz rattled the woodwork before the interval and later saw a goal-bound shot blocked. Speaking about Wirtz, Slot said, "Not for the first time he was really good. But recently when he was really good he was also involved in goals and assists, and today he was very close and maybe should have been on the scoresheet with the amount of quality he has. But it's good to see not only him but also other players developing so well, playing another good game of football where we had such a disappointment against City, when we played so well second half and deserved so much more than we got." Reflecting on the match, Slot added, "It didn't feel to me at all like a struggle as I thought we played really well again. Sunderland have a difficult playing style to play against, a lot of long balls to defend and a lot of balls in the channel, and I thought we did that really well and controlled the second ball really good. From that second ball we played some very good football. I'm getting used to more and more now us missing a lot of chances, which we did again. The big exception compared to all the other games against promoted teams or where we are the better team, we weren't able to score from a set piece and usually concede one. But we did score, and that's the difference between all the games we dropped points.